you heard about Yarn Lane, a TV show dedicated to knitting, crochet and all things yarn, bringing you demonstrations from our expert guests as well as the latest tools. And find out what's coming up on the show by following us on Facebook and Instagram. Subscribe to our email newsletter or visit the programme guide on our website at www.yarnlane.com.
Stuck for ideas for the perfect gift? Why not get them a gift card? You can buy Sewing Street and Yarn Lane gift cards loaded up with anything from £10 to £500. Shop our gift cards online at www.sewingstreet.com or www.yarnlane.com, or purchase them via our UK call centre on 0800 001 44 33.
Missed the live show? Don't worry, we recorded it for you. Never miss out on your favourite presenters, guests and makes ever again. Head on over to our YouTube pages to watch back the day's live show and enjoy your favourite demos over and over again. We also have lots of great content exclusive to our YouTube pages, such as product demonstrations, troubleshooting videos, and so much more. Subscribe and turn on the bell notification so you never miss a show or video ever again. Have you heard about all of the different ways you can shop with Sewing Street and Yarn Lane? You can either shop on our websites, sewingstreet.com and yarnlane.com. You can also order by phone by calling our friendly UK customer service team. For Sewing Street, call 0800 001 4433, and for Yarn Lane, call 0800 4700 600. And don't forget about the Sewing Street app. Here you can shop all of the Sewing Street products as well as watch the live shows from anywhere. You can download the app onto your smartphone or your tablet by simply searching Sewing Street in your app store. And one final thing, no matter how many times you check out on Sewing Street or Yarn Lane in one day, you will only pay one postage and packaging. Happy shopping!
Follow Sewing Street and Yarn Lane on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with what's coming up on the show, as well as being the first to know about our amazing offers. Get involved with our competitions that are exclusive to social media. And pick up some top tips from us too.
We know that shopping online can be a confusing and sometimes daunting task, and sometimes all you want to do is talk to a human being. Well, our family-run customer service team are on call 24/7. They're full of friendly, warm-hearted individuals, all trained to make your shopping experience as easy and as enjoyable as possible. And not only will they take your order, they will also help and guide you on your shopping journey, so you never miss out.
Are you a fan of Sewing Street and Yarn Lane? Why not join our growing Facebook fans pages? Just search Sewing Street Fans and Yarn Lane TV Fans on Facebook and click Join Group. It's that simple. Never miss out on the latest news and updates from our presenters and guest designers, special offers and plenty of chat with your fellow fans. Share photos of your makes, ask for advice, interact with your favourite guests and presenters, and be a part of the ever-growing sewing and yarn community. See you there!
Keep up to date with what's on Sewing Street and Yarn Lane, as well as all the latest news and special offers by signing up to our email newsletters. For Sewing Street, head on over to www.sewingstreet.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and you're done. It's exactly the same for Yarn Lane. Head on over to www.yarnlane.com. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, type in your email address, click the envelope, and that's it. You are now subscribed to both Sewing Street's and Yarn Lane's email newsletters. so you'll never miss out on the latest news and special offers ever again.
Hi everybody, welcome to Yarn Lane. My name is Stuart Hillard. I'll be with you for the next hour and with our wonderful guest Wendy Orlando, who really has brought her faves, her pick, her absolute favourites that we're going to share with you in the next hour. She's got some great demos to share with us as well, and some wonderful reveals too, which I know you're going to enjoy. Now, if you want to shop with us today, you can call the call centre completely free. 0800 4 700 600. I will learn that. There it is. That's easier. Okay, you can call them 0800 4 700 600, or of course you can come on to www.yarnlane.com and watch us on the internet. There we go. If you click then on watch live, don't forget those 6 days of Christmas. If you shop 6 days out of the 12 days running up to the first 12 days of Christmas, you'll get free P&P for the whole of January on Sewing Street and Yarn Lane. It's a fabulous offer. Now, you'll see everything that's available on today's show. In columns below, you'll see Wendy's picks, you'll see those wonderful blankets, those crochet and knit projects. So much going through. Complete kits and also parts, the whole block of the month, some essential notions of course, and when Wendy's here that essential notion has to include the ball winder, which we love, I love. It's a Knit Pro, fabulous, fabulous. So we've got a great packed show here today. Just look at all this beautiful yarn. Is there anything more beautiful than a pile of really gorgeously coordinated yarns? I don't think so. Shall we have a little look at this? Well, what we've got here, this is our Christmas crochet along. Oh, I wanted to get the pattern out from under there. Who did this? Who did this? Who did this? Well, this, there you go. There you go. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I am sorry, everybody. You're getting all of this yarn in your kit. Okay, so when you order the kit, you'll get the whole amount of yarn. It's $39.99. Absolutely loads. You've got these beautiful cranberry reds, this beautiful ivory, a deep gold, a nice bright Christmas bright red, a couple of different greens. Now, it doesn't make a traditional Christmas blanket despite the very traditional colours. I love that mix. It is a mystery Christmas crochet along. Now, by buying into this, you're becoming part of the secret, exclusive, kind of members only crochet along club. Now, the way you do that, when your package arrives with your yarn and your pattern, you'll find on the pattern Rebecca Reed's email address. Now, just email her, and that's your sort of way of registering. You'll then be allowed into that secret Facebook group, okay? And within that, you'll have the patterns shared to you in stages. Now, of course, it's already started. They're all released now. But if you are just joining us and you want to join that crochet along, you absolutely can. The community is going to be there for a good while yet. That group is going to stay open for a good while yet. So you can still enjoy that banter, those stories, getting tips and ideas from each other as well, and seeing other people's versions. It's a super group headed up by Rebecca Reed. So that's how you kind of get involved. Now, Wendy has finished her crochet along blanket. We're all super impressed. Now, if you want to save the mystery, now would be the time to go and make a cup of tea, and I'll shout you when you can come back in. Eyes closed? Right. Wendy, you can now reveal. It is absolutely gorgeous. How about that? That is fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. What size hook did you use for this?
4.5 personally.
4.5 mil.
But it was very much, it's although it's a crochet along, or it has been a crochet along, it's very much everyone's just kind of does their own thing.
Sure.
Although following a pattton.
Yeah, sure.
And you can see on here that show 1, 2, 3. Oh, that one's missing, the little snowflake. So it had motifs each week. And it started quite easy, and then I got a little bit more difficult, and then until we finally finished on the poinsettia here.
That's
and
lovely.
yes, that was quite a challenge for a lot of people, but it's well worth it, as you can see.
Which one was your favourite motif to crochet?
That
yeah,
one.
yeah,
That
it's
one.
my favourite. The
Yeah,
wreath is
that one.
gorgeous.
Or the tree. My
Tree's
least
pretty cute.
favourite,
Okay.
and gave me the biggest headache,
Go on.
was the holly.
Okay, why?
Because you crochet up the side of a chain and back down the side of a chain, and it has to match.
Okay.
My hollies are all wonky, but it's
I think
my
they
blanket.
are in real life, aren't they? I think hollies.
And we were using a dark colour.
Yeah.
Well, everyone out there that's made these know that this one was a little bit
Okay.
tricky.
But it's
this
nice
one.
to learn something new, isn't it? And have a little challenge. You know, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous blanket, isn't it? So am I
Beautiful.
right in assuming you make the base squares first of all, crochet the motif separately and sew them on?
Yes, and that was very important for me as a designer. Is there is an awful lot of these around where they've incorporated the picture in the square,
Okay.
which then means it looks a bit angular because you can't really create a good circle
Right.
out of a square, and then you need to turn it into a square. So this way I could really make the designs as pretty as I wanted to, and then sewed them on after.
It's absolutely brill. I love it. You designed this crochet along. This was all your own work. It's just fabulous. I love it.
Yes, Rebecca did Rebecca's normal thing with me. She said, I've had an idea. I'll leave it to you.
Oh, really? Really? Is that how it works?
That's how it works. It's brilliant. I love
Goodness
it.
me. Okay, I understand now.
But yes, there are nice challenges in there for those of you that have only just maybe picked up your hook after a few years and got back into it. And the community is incredible on there, and we've just got the most amazing people in our group.
Well, that's the benefit of being part of that community as well, isn't it? If there's a stitch or maybe an abbreviation that you've never used before, or you perhaps don't understand, am I doing this right? Where do I go next? You can ask someone, can't you?
And there's the step-by-step videos as well. So each of the
brill.
motifs has step-by-step videos, so that if you're not really sure, or you maybe just need to brush up on your skills, it's all there for you. So you can just follow. If there's a bit that you know, you can just skip it and then just pick up the other video that goes with the relevant part that you want.
Perfect.
But it has been an absolute ball. And Rebecca did a square one.
Okay. And that's part of the pattern too, or her
No.
adaptation?
Well, I designed it like this.
Yeah, because you like rectangular, don't you?
I like rectangular.
Wendy doesn't do square things.
I don't do square. I like rectangular because I like to get it across my body and down my legs, and
Okay.
I like to snuggle under it. But Rebecca's looks amazing.
Well, when you're my size and shape, a square works. It all depends how you're built,
So
doesn't it?
I've done mine 6 by 8, so I've got 6 squares wide
Yeah.
by 8 squares, and Rebecca did hers 7 by 7.
Okay,
So she put
and
an
did one
extra one in
extra
the
square.
middle.
Perfect.
And I think, if I remember right, I think Rebecca had enough to do a claret. You may not, depending on your tension, you may not have enough to do a claret. But I was thinking, actually, how about one? Because there's a lot of yarn left over, but maybe not in that colour.
Gotcha.
You could do each round, if you were doing the 7 by 7 square one, each round could be a different colour. That would look
That
really
sounds
good.
lovely.
That
So
would be really good.
motif-wise, you've got, what have you got?
So we started off with the heart and technically they started fairly simple
Yep.
and then went a bit more challenging. So we have a lovely heart. Now, I haven't finished it yet because I do what I always do out there. I got chatting and I was going to make a lovely heart garland, but I've supersized this by doubling up my yarn. I haven't done my ends in yet, so I've doubled up the yarn and I'm going to turn it into a Christmas garland.
That's fantastic. I
And
love that
it was
idea.
very important when I was designing this that everything that I've got can be something standalone in its own right. So first came the heart, and then the next week was the snowflake. And sorry, that might be easier without it jumping off the table. Sorry, Kat. So we've got the snowflake, and again, I doubled it up, and not for this one, but I also made one that you could double up and make a bigger snowflake, And then that's going to be, so it's going to go heart, snowflake
Oh,
on my
lovely.
garland.
You could hang these on a tree as well, though, couldn't you?
You could.
Add little beads, add
Oh,
pom-poms.
honestly, I'm a little bit of a plain Jane. I like things quite plain.
Fair enough, yeah.
But some of the trees out there that have been decorated are phenomenal, and I just can't bring myself to do it yet. But I can still add on if I want to.
But kind of at Christmas, like anything goes, doesn't it?
Oh my
You
goodness.
know, if you want to just do that, you could just do that.
They've been incredible what they've added onto their trees.
And you've done some other makes,
But
haven't you?
with
Using
my
some-
tree-
Wait till you see these, folks, because these are amazing.
So again, I used 2 different greens to make it look like a little bit of variegated.
Yep.
And then I stuck some, you know, like when you've got things in your cupboard and you think, oh, I know that I want to keep them, but I don't know what I'll use them for. So these little pom-poms are perfect.
They're felt.
They are the little felt pom-poms, and I do jewellery making as well, so I just took one of my little jewels and stuck it in the middle of the star, and it's it hangs up.
It's fab.
Yeah,
I
oh,
really
sorry.
love that.
So it hangs up, so I have it hanging up at home on my wall, but I've taken it off
Fantastic.
just
Where'd
for
you get
today.
the ring from?
Again, I've had them for a long time, but that one fits a 24 centimetre, and I think they actually do 24 centimetres here, so that's perfect.
Cool.
Then we've got the wreath, which
Wreath's
was
your favourite.
my favourite.
And I love how that's reflected in the border as well, because you've got those colours again out in the border.
Oh
haven't
yes,
you?
that's okay. I thought you were going to call my flowers holly at the side. They're,
No.
they're Christmas roses. Yeah, so that was my favourite. But again, I've supersized it.
How fabulous is that?
Gone round one of these rings. So I've gone round that, and if you do this, you will have to work it out. I mean, if anyone does want to know, just put on the private group that if they want to know how many that I went round, because you do need to work it out. Too many, and it goes all ripply
Wibbly.
and not enough, and it stretches. So I just did that, and that was that.
That's gorgeous.
The holly, you'll see some of my holly only has, most of them only have 2 leaves.
Yep, fair
But that's
enough.
my holly.
Yeah, it's good to me.
And I did flat berries, or I gave the option to do little domed berries as well. And some of in the group have put little pom-poms on there. They're
That's
just
cute.
It's phenomenal.
That's really cute.
That to me was one of the hardest, only because I'm very used to making these flowers. That one was the most challenge. And then we've got our poinsettia.
Yeah, which I want with a brooch pin on the back.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I failed. I have failed miserably because I made it and then forgot my brooch pin.
Oh,
So-
but you could stick a safety pin through the back, let's be honest. That is gorgeous.
I have made it as a brooch.
And I'm just thinking that you've got 2 different shades of red
Oh, right.
in your kit, which you could mix, couldn't you, and do some, could you mix them?
Well, the claret is used for the squares.
Right.
I
But I'm thinking if you had any left over.
I personally did have some left over.
Did you?
And I'm hoping that most people have got a little bit left over, but you may not.
Okay.
Depending on everyone's, although we've got a pair of hands and needles and using the same size, everyone's tension is different.
It's true.
Some people's squares are coming out much smaller, some are coming out bigger.
But of course, you've got the patterns for these different motifs. You've got the pattern for the poinsettia once you're in the club, once you've made your blanket. So you could delve into your stash of scrap yarns, your leftovers, and create all kinds of things. What a fantastic thing to get involved in on the run up to Christmas, and to have something that you can bring out every year or carry on working on for next year. It's $39.99. You get all of the yarn, you get the full pattern, and you get membership of that exclusive online club. Andrea's messaged in to say, I've only been crocheting since June and I've loved doing this. Wendy's videos have been so helpful. It's key, isn't it? Thanks for that lovely message, Andrea.
That just makes me do another little happy dance. And this is the reason that I do my job, because you guys out there are great. They are just phenomenal.
Wonderful. To
And
each other and for us.
the group is amazing, and you know there's lots of people in there, and you know who you are, and we they are phenomenal. And
Brilliant. And so often as well, you know, we want to say, like, we can read it and read it and read it, but what we really want to say a lot of the time is, well, just show me, am I doing this right? And the fact that you've got those videos, the fact that you've got a community where you can upload a picture, to say, does this look right?
Absolutely.
Have I put this in the right place?
Absolutely.
You know, those, and
Yeah.
that little bit of reassurance from others who are making along with us is just a brilliant support.
And it
isn't
has been fantastic, and that there have been ladies and gentlemen that maybe haven't done it before. Well, they haven't done it before,
Right.
and is this right? And then there's nothing worse than completing something and finding out you have gone wrong early on. The videos are very bite-sized and they take you each step of the way. So it's not one long video that you've got to trawl through. It's how do you do the first round? How do you do the second round? And then, because some of us will know how to do some things, and there are some stitches in here that no one will have done before. So,
absolutely.
especially like
all of them
we've
in
got
my
the
case.
Well, I want to see you crocheting, and then you add the border on after. But I've gone for a really simple border, a floral rose, and there's going to be more yarn than you need for this border. And I can't wait for this step because I know there is going to be so much creativity out there, and I'm not expecting many of these borders to
So
be
you could
seen.
freestyle it.
I think there are going to be so many freestyling, and I am
Ace.
so excited for that.
Love that. Jackie says, wow, beautiful. You're so talented. Now, there's also a block of the month knitting and crochet version. They're on the website. Go and check it out on Yarn Lane. You get the whole bundle of yarn. You can get the instructions on their own if you want to use your own colourway. You can just pick up if you've missed some of the months. It's a great way to get involved. Really fantastic. And there's a knit version and a crochet. They're both designed by Wendy. They're really clear, great instructions. And it's just a lovely way to increase your skills, practice your skills, and also just kind of make something maybe bigger than you normally would.
Well, it's been great, this one, because again, it's for, I know there's those of you out there who've never crocheted before and have given it a go. And that makes me so proud, because to look at something like that, that is quite daunting. And yet you've taken it on board and made the most beautiful blankets.
Yeah.
And it again, month one was easy. And then as the months went on, it got bit harder and a bit
I was going to say there are a lot of that is stuff I recognise that I.
So you've got
done,
your
Granny
granny
Square.
square, and every month we included the granny square, and we felt that was very important, Rebecca and I. And with the knitted version, it was the garter square, because especially if you are new, the repetition. If you keep repeating something, it eventually sticks.
It does.
And also, it's been an amazing project for the more competent crocheters out there, just to sit and just to have their fingers busy.
Do something
it's
mindful.
Amazing.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
brilliant.
I like that sort of mixture where I have to concentrate and then I can just relax. I have to concentrate and then I can just relax. And
Me
that
too.
suits my lifestyle as well, because there are times when I've got more headspace than others. And a crochet along or a knit along in that way, perfect, absolutely perfect. Would this be suitable for a beginner level crocheter or a beginner level knitter?
There have been beginners that have joined us. I would say if you want to do it, absolutely have a go. Again, I'm on the groups. If I'm not your friend, and I don't mean that nasty, but if you try and ask me a question and I don't turn blue, there is normally somewhere that is one of my friends that would tag me to say this, they need help. So I'm there if you need any help. If you do need any little bite-sized videos, then that's absolutely fine. But yes, someone who is a confident, if you've never ever picked up a crochet hook in your life, it would be an idea just to do a few chains, to do a few trebles, just to get used to it. But yeah, but they're very, very comprehensive.
But this is the way you learn and improve, isn't it? By doing something which is based on simple repetition and enough practice that it and the lovely thing I have spotted with crochet, which does make it very attractive to me, is that you've only ever got one stitch on your hook, and if you go wrong, you can pull it out so easily and pick back up again, much more so than knitting. So
I find crochet more transportable.
Very much.
Because I've only got, as you say, you have one hook and you can just take it with you. And at the moment, it's hat season, so all my spare time, I'm just making hats. So I only have to I take it to the coffee shop, I take it everywhere, and I just sit there crocheting. So it is more transportable. But knitting, I find knitting very, very, very therapeutic. It's very relaxing for me.
Yeah.
I love knitting.
Oh, me too. I'm constantly knitting. I knit in my car, not when I'm driving, obviously, but I knit here, I knit in the dressing room, I knit in my
And my
hotel.
husband's always saying, just sit down, just relax. And I go, but I am.
I am relaxing.
But with these, and you can see on here, you can also make
That's a lovely
standalone.
project.
Again, I haven't put it straight since it's outside. I always like to make something that gives you a little bit more. So each of the squares you can make into cushions. So that's just the basic
That's
granny
really
square.
beautiful.
And then this was the final month, which incorporated a lot of the stitches that we'd learnt all the way through. This is one of the knitting versions. So this was one of the squares.
That's lovely.
And we just made it into a cushion. And I'm a
That would
huge...
make such a lovely border around a knitted blanket as well,
It would,
wouldn't
wouldn't
The tulips.
It would.
Gorgeous.
And then I just use fabric, because a lot of people don't realise that you can actually fabric back a cushion if you've knitted or crocheted it. So I wanted to show them that as well.
It's fab. Now I just wanted to let you know that you can get the instructions for each of the separate blocks on their own. We've never done that before. They're £6 each. So that would be, so for example, Wendy's just shown us the tulips with the stripes as well. That is £6, full instructions. They're all on the website there. You can just buy whichever month's appeal. You could do 2 blocks and create a blanket out of those, couldn't you? Just 2 of the months or 1 of the months even, and mix and match to your heart's content. There isn't an online community for this one. However, if you want some support with how to do different techniques, you know, the yarn laying community is a wonderful one. It is full of really experienced yarn laying TV fans, full of experience and beginner level and intermediate level crocheters and knitters. You know, it's wonderful getting advice from somebody who's more experienced. There's also something wonderful about being a beginner yourself, but being able to help someone else with something. Maybe they're not quite at the level you're at. That can be quite reassuring too, can't it?
It's very reassuring, and there have been a lot of people that are just joining us, and it is fantastic, because if you don't get into that community and get involved and be led and taught, then you're not going to learn as quick. And crochet is very easy once you can do it. It is. It's all about, what do I do with my hands and the ball and the tension? And it is so mind-blowing at first, but you will get that light bulb moment. All of a sudden, you'll pick it up, all your hands will do what they need to, and you'll just go.
The bit that throws me, Wendy, I'm going to put it out there. I can see where the gaps are to put a stitch in a gap, but it's when it's count the stitches and I can't see them. I can't see them. I need to sit, do you know what I mean?
Right.
When you've got like a long chain, I mean, we need to sit down, we need to do it.
Absolutely, do not start with that first. You should start with that.
Gaps.
That is your
Well,
first...
I can do the granny square.
You can do a granny square.
I can do a granny square.
Well, you're halfway there then. You did not tell me that. You are halfway there.
Now, the 2 that we're going to demo today are the granny stripe blanket, and I'm going to show you, we've got a couple of different options here. This is really lovely. It's a lovely kind of cute baby quilt, the granny stripe blanket. Now I'll show you, here's the pattern itself. This is a lovely, it's a simple pattern to make, this one, isn't it?
Very simple.
And this version is made in just 2 colours. You've got a white with like almost like a holographic sparkle. And then you've got a silver, soft silver, again with that holographic sparkling, almost like sort of aurora borealis. It's really cute and done as a stripe, alternating stripe, beautiful. So that's one option. You're getting pattern and you're getting the yarn for $11.99. Now the other option that we've got for you is a multicoloured rainbow gorgeous version. It's not exactly this version that's on the front of the pattern. I think it's a bit brighter really. I'm just going to show you. You don't necessarily have to do it in this sort of order. You can do it in whatever order you like, but what you've got there are all the colours. I have to do this. You know me, I have to do this.
Me too.
You've got that rainbow. How luscious is that? Absolutely gorgeous. That's only $9.99 for the pattern and the yarn. And this blanket, just to let you know, finishes at approximately 26 inches square. What a beautiful gift. This, I'd add in a crochet hook. You use a 4mm, 3.5mm?
I think it's 4.5.
4.5mm. 4.5 and a 4. You could even make a little bag and give that to somebody, encourage them to learn to crochet.
That was my intention with this one, because when I said to you, yes, it's all about starting with the granny square, which absolutely, if I was saying to anyone that wants to learn, start with the granny square first, because you don't have to worry about too much about your tension. When you're working in stripes or rows, you do have to worry about your stitch count and your tension. But when you do it in a granny stitch, it takes a little bit of the difficulty away, because you're working in those granny stitches.
Okay.
I was going to say, do you want me, because you've got my toy over there, do you want me to wind this ball of wool and show people? Because,
yes, of course.
Because you never let me loose on it. Because anything that comes into my house in the form of a ball ends up in a cake.
Let me just grab.
Oh yes, please.
Well, we have a lot of cake in my house too.
Yes, but yours has got calories in it. This has no calories in it whatsoever.
Now these are $29.99, and that is a brilliant price, because this is Knit Pro, really, really trusted, terrific brand. I'm just going to need to just give you the bits. Is that all right?
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
There's your ball winder and the top.
This is really good actually, because this is how it comes out of the box. So there is assembly required, and what you do is you place, I don't know what to call it, it's a tube kind of thing. You place it in the top and you twist it. So I'm doing it the wrong way around. It's because I'm a lefty. You place it in the top and you twist it. It has to go in there firm, because otherwise it will fly out.
That's
so
fine,
that is the
easy.
assembly.
Oh, well, I can do that.
That is it. And the great thing, I have had one in the past, this is the one I have now, that this wasn't joined and I kept losing it.
Right, but this is joined on.
And this is brilliant. This is
try and create to your table?
Yes, so this is a really thick work surface and it fits that.
Great.
So you undo and you place this on here.
See, now I'm interested to see how you do this, because I always think of a wool winder working with a swift, and that you need a swift and it's for transferring a hank to a cake, but you're going to turn a ball into a cake.
You absolutely need to wind a hank, without a doubt.
Yeah.
You cannot knit from a hank without getting in a real pickle. So that's where the swift is like the umbrella. I have demonstrated that before. An amazing piece of machinery. But nowadays we've learnt that it's much easier to work from a cake than it is to work from a ball. If you take the centre of the ball out, more often than not, half the ball comes out with you. If you start from the outside, you have the ball jumping around on the floor all the time, and that's where you have tension issues, because one minute you've got the yarn stretched, and then it's loose, and then it's stretched, and then it's loose. So to keep an even tension, you want that wool to be coming out the centre of the cake. So that's why we do it. So I have found the centre of my ball without taking the rest of it out. I was very lucky, and you do have a bit of a eureka moment when that happens.
So you do need to work from the centre.
You don't, no, you absolutely don't. But because I'm working in the studio and we have a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Stuff?
Yeah, well, stuff, but yes, like a lot of little bits on the floor.
Okay.
If the ball is bouncing around, it's going to pick that up. So I need it to be on the desk, and it's not going to stay on the desk.
There's a lot of mess on the floor.
I didn't want to say that. Now, the only other thing I would say is that I'm a lefty.
Okay.
And you need, naturally as a lefty, I go anti-clockwise. I'm not sure if that's just my brain. I don't know if it is a lefty thing to do, but you need to wind this clockwise. Because of the way this centre has been put in, if you wind it anti-clockwise, you're going against that and the ball will fly off.
Right.
So don't worry, it's not broken, it just means that you need to wind it clockwise.
The other way, good.
What we need to, so we've got a handle, so as I wind the handle...
See, that's it, isn't it? That's everything.
Brilliant, isn't it? It's fantastic. And then you have this rod that you need to clip under. You'll hear it clip. It would be, did you hear that clip?
I heard that clip.
You heard that. Ideally, you would do that before you, but I got a bit excited, as I always do. Now what we're going to do now is we want to thread, you can either thread it through, but that's quite difficult, or you place it up against this bar. So I placed my end up against it, and then I wind it round, and now it's threaded.
Just through the centre.
So I do that again.
Yep.
You just offer it up to that bar, and then you wind it round, and it's now going through that centre.
Great.
Then what we want to do, we have a little notch in the top here. And if you're using a double knit or a 4-ply, now I have tried Aran Works Perfect in here. I can't remember if I've done a chunky. I think I have, but I certainly know that it goes up to an Aran weight. If you fold anything that's quite thin in half and put it down that groove, it's going to stay in a little bit better. Now, this is what a few people get confused and think now you can just let it do its own thing. You still need to have a little bit of tension. You need to control the tension because, again, it's like that ball on the floor rolling around motion. You want to keep it going through the winder in the right tension.
Yeah.
You start winding gently because the first thing I want to do is to catch that wall around there. So you don't want to go too fast at this point. I'm going clockwise and I'm winding and winding and winding. And you can really get a speed up. And I'm just controlling the yarn that's coming out of the ball. I'm not putting any pressure on it, I'm just guiding it. That's the word I wanted. I'm just guiding it, and then you can get really fast. Now, with my fingers where they are, if I get to a knot, that is going to alert me before it gets to the ball.
Right.
Because it might do, because sometimes the yarn inside the middle of the ball, you're fascinated, aren't you?
I'm loving it. Do you know, it's like, I know on the internet there are lots of, do they call it ASMR videos where people are doing something and you just watch and it's relaxing.
Oh, you go down a rabbit hole in those, don't
I
you?
could just
Oh
sit and
my
watch.
goodness
This
me.
is beautiful.
See, now can you see why I just sometimes,
Yes.
sometimes if my ball's gone floppy, which sometimes it does, when you've been
Tell me about it.
when you've been working with it, I just have to rewind it. Now, I've changed to right-handed now, and as long as I keep going
Hey,
clockwise...
you're the man.
Because I can actually get a little bit more speed up with my right hand. See?
Look at that, it's beautiful.
It's brilliant, isn't it? I mean, and I keep going and going and going, and this will easily, sorry, I let go then, I didn't want to let go. I will easily
At
wind
what point do you stop?
when I finish my ball.
Really? You keep
never
going,
stop.
you do the whole 100 grams?
I do the whole, now, just be a little
Can
bit...
I have one of these in my basket, please? I want one of those. Look at it.
They are, honestly,
Look at it.
I'm really naughty, I shouldn't do this, but late at night when everyone else is like, I mean, they're going...
You can just hear the sound of Wendy winding her balls.
You can.
Wendy,
And I have been
it.
known, as I say, to undo them and then start again.
Yeah, well, Laurie's in agreement there, I think. I recently got this winder. I love it. I keep finding wool just so I can play and make balls.
Thank you. I am not the only one.
Yeah, I'm totally sold on this, Wendy. I absolutely want
I've got to the end.
Yep.
And carry on. And once you've got your end, wind it round and tuck it in. Because that now, we don't need that now.
No, that's the
gone.
very end of our cake.
That will be the last stitch that I do. Now, this is really important that you do this, is to take it off. First of all, you want to release. So you want to release that
So that's
here.
why you put that bit through the centre to start
The
with.
bit through the centre not only gives you your first bit to pull out, it also gives the ball something to start winding onto. Because if it was just hanging, it wouldn't be able to wind.
Yep.
But what you want to do now is you want to hold under the bottom and the top at the same time.
Yeah.
If you just pull it off, then you run the risk of pulling that centre out. Okay.
That is absolutely fabulous.
I've hooked you, haven't I?
Totally.
I mean,
because I've always thought, well, because I do use some yarn that I buy on a hank, but not as often.
Have you got a Swift?
No, I haven't got a Swift,
Ooh,
and I'd love a Swift as well. But it's quite a lot of money, isn't it, to buy both? And I've always thought there's no point buying a ball winder, as much as that's the bit I'm most intrigued with, without a Swift. You've just shown me why I need the Swift, and I can do Aran on that too, because I'm doing an Aran scarf at the moment.
I've certainly wound
scarf.
up to an Aran.
Fine.
I've wound up. Knowing me, I try everything. I can't remember if I've done chunky, but I think I have. But I'm lucky enough to have like the big wooden one as well, because I work with jute a lot. And when you wind a jute ball up, it's like this when you're finished. You really have a big ball at the end of it.
Wow.
That is 100 grams, and it easily accommodated that.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
You've got to get one, but now, this
Oh,
is
look at this,
the
come
magic,
on.
I'm sorry.
Now, you see, if you were Laurie, or indeed you'd be doing that just so you could wind it again.
I'm with
Am I
Laurie.
right, Laurie? Am I right? when we've done all the yarn in the house, it's like, right, which one shall I rewind now?
Honestly, it's that bad because
Love
you
it.
just don't have to think any. As long as you go clockwise, don't go anti-clockwise because you will have balls flying over the kitchen, and we do not, or wherever you wind them. I tend to wind them on the kitchen worktop, or my big wooden one I have in my my workroom, and it's up all the time. So I'm now going to show you. I have demonstrated this before, but I think it's really important sometimes that
There are 3 of these ball winders left.
people are just getting them for entertainment value, aren't they?
I know, and the thing is, I can't order one because I'm here now, and I desperately
I'll let you have a play on
want
mine.
one.
You can have a play on mine,
I
Stuart.
desperately want one.
But they are, and we jest, we are having a little bit of a giggle. But
It's brilliant.
But the thing
it's
is,
brilliant.
very often, when the ball's flying around, then, I mean, I've got a dog. So he's like, whoa, yeah,
of course,
fair game.
playtime.
But also, I sometimes crochet with 7 strands of wool. I like super crochet, and I like super size. If you've got 7 balls all flying around, they get in an awful pickle.
They get tangled.
Pickle.
Yeah.
If you put your cakes in a row, and
it
then
just comes
keep
out.
You see, you're
Well,
sold.
of course, and I do a lot of colour work knitting as well. How have I got to this age without a ball winder?
You need to get something to wind your
for
balls.
$29.99.
Yep.
It's not a big investment. There
Yeah.
are only 3 left. I would like one, but hey, if there are 3 of you out there that want one, you have first dibs. It's fine. It's fine. I'll struggle on.
But it is something that, I mean, as I say, we are joking. It is something that's very simple, but it is so effective. And I stack them up on, I'm going to sound really sad now, but I stack my balls up on the shelf, and I just think they look pretty.
They do look pretty.
Which you wouldn't be, well, you've seen
Well,
what
and also,
happened to you.
Yeah, we've already had my leaning tower of yarn, haven't we? That's collapsed twice. If that was all in cakes, that would just sit beautifully, and that would be great. Margaret says, I recently bought some 4-ply bamboo and cotton that is a nightmare off the ball, but it is a delight after being wound as a cake. Margaret, I have used, I think I know exactly the one you mean.
Me too.
And
too.
I was in exactly the same position. It is so beautiful
It is.
yarn, but it just falls
I use that a lot,
off the
and yes,
ball
it is.
and gets into a mess.
It does.
Brilliant, thanks for that. Beverly says, I'm 60 next year and my mum asked what I wanted, so I've asked for the big wooden winder as I already have the plastic one and I love it.
Oh,
that's from Beverly in Cardiff.
Hang on a minute.
Fabulous.
Hang on a minute.
Yep.
Already has what?
The Knit Pro one.
Hasn't got the big one yet because
So it's
she's
getting the
asked
wooden
for it. That's
one.
okay.
Yeah,
I thought she was
it's
going to say
getting
she
the
loves it
wooden
because she's
one.
already got it.
Yeah,
Shouldn't
yeah,
have
yeah.
it if it's not
Yeah.
her birthday till next year. But the wooden one is, as I say, I work in jute a lot, and I always rewind my jute, and the balls come out this big, and the wooden winder just lets you make really, really big balls of yarn. So that's fantastic.
Amazing,
Brilliant.
amazing piece of kit.
It is.
I've always coveted one.
You've got
and
to get
now
one.
I
You've
cannot
got to get one.
be without one.
Yeah.
That's a definite.
It's brilliant. It's just
a
fantastic.
definite. Now,
Because
brown
I think
striped blanket.
exactly, I think I have demonstrated this. I can't remember when because I've had lots of sleep stints then. But I think it's very important to actually show how to do your chain and get started. I showed you
Agreed.
actually how to do it because a lot of people do get a little bit confused about the chain and where they should be crocheting.
I agree. I'm going to watch closely. 17th of November, by the way, if you want to see the previous demo.
So that was working in the rows, and this one is now starting with the chain. So I'm not going to do as many chains as I need because I'm going to be here forever. I'm just going to do basic chains just to show you. And a top tip, if you're ever working with chains, is maybe do 2 or 3 more than you need, because you can always undo back from the slip knot. But it's really annoying if you're making a big blanket and you get all to the end and you're 1 or 2 chains short. You don't really want to have to rip it all out and start again.
Right.
And we're going to start with a slip knot, and to do that we have our cake, and the yarn that's coming from the centre of the cake is called our working yarn. And the yarn, I mean, this is very logical because it's a tail, looks like a little tail. And we're going to create a slip knot, and that will allow us to then make it small enough to go on the hook. We take our tail and we place it over the working yarn, and I'm placing it over my fingers, and I'm creating a loop, and I reach through with my finger and thumb and pull the working yarn. I've now got a really big loop, and then if I pull the working yarn, you can see it reduces in size, and that's a slip knot. So you can make it as big or as small as you want, and then we put it through the hook. Now, if your tension is very tight, when you do your first row, it's a good idea to go up at 1 or 2 hook sizes, and that way it will force you to create bigger chains, because if you do really tight chains in the first row, your blanket is going to pull in. To do a chain, we've got...
And I do that when I knit as well.
Do you?
Because my cast on is pretty tight, actually.
Yeah.
It's too tight. So I always go up a needle size, cast on, and then use the correct needle size from there on in.
And that is a top tip. I mean, nowadays, crochet hooks, you can buy them in kits, so you've got the spectrum of sizes. I've stated that you need a 4.5 and a 4, and the only reason I've done that is because, again, sometimes that people need to change the size of their hook if they're doing the borders.
Yeah.
For some reason, borders work better sometimes, not all the time, on a smaller hook. So that's the only reason. If you only have a 4.5, then that's absolutely fine. So to do a chain, we've got our hook we've inserted into that slip knot, we yarn over and we pull through, and that is a chain, and that would be classed as a chain 1. We pull the yarn over the back of the hook rather than in the front of the hook. That is something completely different in crochet. That's called a yarn under. A yarn over brings it over the back of the hook.
Yep.
And you keep going, and what you want to do, I'm doing them nice and loose, but what I'm trying to do is keep them even. Now, if you're new and you struggle with, you see what I've done with my fingers, with all the yarn, you do this fancy little thing. You don't have to, as long as you just create a little bit of tension on that working yarn, then it's absolutely fine. I think sometimes a lot of people give up before they've really got going because they do worry about the tension feed. And you can see here, all I've done is I've placed it over this finger and behind that one, and that's my tension. Now for the chain, that's absolutely fine to do that. And a top tip would be just to keep making chain after chain after chain. And if you make a cone with some cardboard and wrap the chains around them, you can make like a Christmas tree.
Oh,
Sorry,
cool.
just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like waste.
No.
Because, and also the reason in the block of the month, we had far much more yarn than we needed for the blocks. And that was because yarn really doesn't bode well if you keep unpicking it, reworking it, unpicking it, reworking it. But you can, if you want to just keep undoing your chains and trying again. And you can see here that I've got really neat chains here. Now, I need to work some treble stitches along this chain, and a treble is the equivalent height of 3 chains. So what I do is, I think have I missed
Is that
2?
why it's called a treble?
Well, we call it a treble, and in America they call it a double crochet.
Oh, they
So
call
I
macrame macrame, which we've established.
So I can't work out whether it's because of that or I don't know, or whether when we wrap ours round and do the first part of the stitch, we have 3 loops on our hook. So I don't know where that treble... I'm going to look at that because I'm not sure. So we want to work a treble in the 3rd chain from the hook, because we want to create a treble from the chains. And to work a treble, and this is where you're now going to do it, because you've done your granny square, you know what you're doing.
Okay,
We're now going to work in rows. So we miss the 2 chains closest to the hook, and we're going to work a treble stitch in that 3rd chain.
I can see that now when you do it.
You can.
I can see that there are 2 before, and then that's
You
the
don't
third.
count the one on the hook.
No.
You never count the
And they're
the
like
hook.
V's, aren't they?
They are. Can you see that now?
I can see that now.
Or a top tip, sometimes it's easier to turn the chain over and do this row because they're really prominent then. You can see at the top, you can see those little humps. So if you're having a little bit of trouble with your foundation chain, finding those stitches, then just turn it over and work in the top. So, but what we're going to do, we're going to miss the first 2. Now, again, some people go in the top, so they go in this little one here, and some people go through the whole V. So you can see at the top there is a V stitch.
Yes.
It's now created a V. So it doesn't matter. It
Okay.
really, at the moment, you're
For
learning.
this.
There's no right or wrong way. And this will be, to your point, it would be amazing to kit this up with a crochet hook and put it in a bag and wrap it up.
As a
and
lovely gift.
It would make an amazing starter gift.
And you've got 2 choices
Yeah.
of colour there, which I
Yes.
think are both lovely. There's silver and white, which is that lovely sort of holographic sparkle through, $11.99 for that. Or you've got $9.99, which is the rainbow version, which again is absolutely beautiful. Really, really lovely combination of colours, these. And that's $9.99, and you're actually getting, same amount of yarn, but $11.99 for the sparkle, $9.99 for the rainbow. Which is it to be, or a bit of both? I actually think I would extend the rainbow by putting the silver grey in between.
That'd be amazing.
That would be really nice.
Yeah, that'd be
Anyway,
fantastic.
I digress.
Right, so we missed the first 2 chains and we're going to do a treble in the 3rd chain from the hook. And a treble is yarn over, insert hook into that chain. So I'm going under the V, yarn over and pull through, and I have 3 loops on the hook. I yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2.
Yep.
And what that has now done, because I missed those chains, there's 2 trebles there, but it's not. There's one and a dummy one. That one at the beginning is a pretend. So we're going to do 1 more treble in that same stitch. We yarn over, insert hook into the same stitch, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And as you can see, I'm still not doing anything with my tension other than holding it. So it is possible to work a blanket without having to do all that fancy thing that you see people doing with their fingers. Because again, if you can't do it, a lot of people said, I just can't do it.
It can really make you feel all fingers and thumbs
It can.
to begin with.
There is
can't
no
it?
right way, there is no wrong way. I'm a lefty, taught right-handed. So I do really funny things with my yarn anyway, because this is my left hand is my dominant hand, so you'll see me quickly switching, doing things.
You never pushed yourself back to crochet left-handed? No, it's going to be too much to undo, if you like.
Yeah, I think so. But it suits me. And the way that I do, I don't hold, a lot of people let all the hook do all the work. I do a bit of both. And it's as neat as I want it to be. So I'm more than happy. But no, never ever worry about how you're doing it. It's your way of doing it. So then we're going to miss 2 chains. Now you should be able to see these 2.
I can see those too.
You can see. But this one here is quite close to this one because I've got 3 stitches in that one and I've made it expand a little bit. So that's where you just need to take a little bit of time. So that's my first one, that's my second. So then in my third, I'm going to do another set of trebles. And this is creating the base row of the granny.
So there aren't any chains in between those
No.
trebles?
No.
What do you call it, a shell, or what you're making
Well, you
into
see,
the
I
same...
call it a granny stitch.
A granny stitch, yeah.
I've always called it that, so I don't actually know if it is or if it isn't. But I just want to show you, if you were to do the other way and turn, you can see that you would go in the top of the stitches, and you may find that easier to count. So you can
See, I can't see that.
so you cannot see those the top of those stitches.
Well, not really.
But I mean, if you can get used to the way that I've shown you,
Yeah.
that's the way that most people would do
Yeah.
it. And if you can get used to that, then do it. But if you can't, that's absolutely fine.
Fair enough.
And then you keep going along and just creating, missing 2 chains and working 3 trebles, missing 2 chains, and that's what creates the stitch. And as I say, was it the 19th of 16th.
17th of November.
17th of November. I
Yeah.
actually showed you how to do the rows, but I felt it was really important that if some people are having trouble getting started, because very often in crochet, the hardest part is getting going.
I agree. And also making the transition from a granny square to working in rows, because that feels like a step up.
This is the next step. So I get an awful lot of people say to me, I can't crochet because my work's doing this. And I'm going, well, what are you doing? And they went, well, I'm working in rows. That's absolutely the biggest no anyway, because as accomplished crocheters, we have to sit and stitch count.
Yeah.
You have to use stitch markers. So I just take them right back and start them off in the granny square. But this would be the next progression, because you're working in rows, but it's much easier than going in every single stitch to do the granny stitch. So that's why this would make the most perfect Christmas present for someone, for a child that is old enough to understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what age
And then when you
from.
do
I
your
was
subsequent rows, Wendy, can I ask, do you crochet your next set of granny stitches into the second Miss 2 chain and do that again, or do you go in the spaces?
You go in the spaces.
Ah,
That's
so
the
first
beauty.
row is the only one where you've actually got to go into
Absolutely.
chain.
That's why I felt it really important that if someone's bought this and just thought, I'm having a little bit of trouble with the foundation row, it's just working the sets of trebles in the chains, and then once you get to the end, it's a 2-row pattern, because at one end you're going to have stitches, and at the other end you're going to have spaces, because if you kept having stitches you would go like that.
Yes.
So you have to go stitch space, but it's all explained really comprehensively in the instructions. But this would be the next progression from someone that has mastered the granny square. So if there's someone out there that just wants to get their teeth into a little project, this would be perfect.
You're tempting me, Wendy.
You've got to
You're
do it.
tempting me.
And I think that would be perfect, that colourway right in front of you.
Yeah,
because
me
it's
too.
bright and bold like you are.
It is really gorgeous. It's lovely. The rainbow has been extremely popular. It's an amazing price, $9.99. You're getting 8 mini balls of yarn from this beautiful hot magenta right through a beautiful intense lavender. Some of you are buying multiples too. I wonder, are you planning to make a bigger blanket? That would be really lovely, or a matching pair. Like I say, you could also put rows of white or cream or silver in between as well. All sorts you can do there with that. It's very tempting.
Well,
It's
when
very
you say they're buying
tempting.
multiples, again, they may have had that idea, but that you've put in your mind, just make a little bag to put them in, crochet hook, the crochet hooks that's
It's a lovely
needed.
gift.
It's an amazing gift for someone that's just learning to crochet, and also it's not that expensive that if they start it and really don't like it, they've had a try.
Yeah.
But I know that once they start it, they're just...
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, I've done granny squares and I've done singles, doubles, trebles. I've done... The bizarre thing is, I actually did a series of demos of a flower that used all kinds of popcorn stitch and all sorts of things, which I literally had to learn, do the demo, and then as soon as I got out, it was gone. It was gone.
But it is about that repetition, and something like this that's an easy project, or something you can just, take with you on the go if you're going around people's friends' houses.
Yes, yes.
See, I crochet
Very
everywhere.
portable.
I crochet everywhere because
Really
I don't
lovely.
like idle hands. I like them to be busy all the time.
Yeah, me too. Well, it also helps me to concentrate on what else I'm doing. So if I'm, sitting chatting or whatever, it's actually really soothing and relaxing to have that in my hand.
It is,
Oh,
absolutely.
Wendy, you've brought so much to show us today. It's been absolutely lovely. You've got that Christmas crochet along blanket, which is absolutely beautiful. There's still time to join. That community is going to be there for a good while yet. If you fancy doing a really kind of, involved project where you're going to learn some new stitches, learn some new skills, I think that's absolutely fantastic. Don't forget, though, to have a look at the website Crochet Along at Block of the Month. And there's also the knitting version too.
Oh, can I just actually mention, I forgot to say, with the ball winder,
Yeah.
if you're using like the variegated yarn that's got the different colours, don't wind one on the winder and then pull the other one from the outside, because you want them to be continuous. So once you've started winding them, just wind all the set of how many you're going to use, because sometimes the colour goes on in sequence, doesn't it?
Got you.
And then if you turn it round and start working from the outside of the ball, you're going to break that colour sequence.
Understood.
So, yes.
Great. Great tip. So many great tips from Wendy today. We've had a great hour. Thank you so much for joining us. Yarn Lane's going to be back on Friday with Catherine Wright, so I hope you'll join us again. We've got some lovely Mariner yarn knits. But until then, have a wonderful rest of the day. Enjoy your knitting and crochet or whatever you're doing today, and we'll see you really soon.